Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Adam Partridge Auctioneers based in the UK, a website that we've been on quite a few times. We're going to have a look at their latest auction, which is a whole load of different stuff over a 3-day kind of period, but we're just going to look at the musical instrument part, and that particular bit is 135 lots, and these are finishing on the 12th of October. So it's the 9th today, so there's still a few days left to go. So all of this musical instrument part of the auction is finishing on the 12th. This particular auction, I believe the buyer's premium is 20%, so that's the amount that you pay extra on top of the hammer price. As I said, this is a UK based auction, so check out all the terms and conditions, the usual stuff. If there's any CITES restrictions, if you're purchasing outside of the UK or outside of Europe as well, check all of those kind of things. So without further ado, let's kind of have a look and see what we have for these 135 lots. So the first one here, we have a full-size English violin with one-piece back labelled John Barrett 1728. So unfortunately the pictures are sometimes not amazing on Adam Partridge, but very interesting looking scroll there. Interesting looking violin. Let's see what else is here. It'll be interesting to look in that a bit more. Estimate is 400 to 600. There's a current absentee bid of 240. I suspect that might go up kind of fairly high. I think Adam Partridge always have some interesting items for sale. They also have some kind of bizarre things sometimes which don't really make any sense, but unfortunately the pictures are always a little bit kind of hit and miss. So here we go anyway. An interesting 18th century English full-size violin by John Barrett, branded Barrett below the button with a label John Barrett again. Accompanied by a detailed report of photographs from when it was restored by J.A. Randall in March 2001. Okay, estimates 400 to 600. There's one bid on that. Let's kind of have a look. It's quite noticeably different from the other one. These pictures perhaps not too bad. You can see that neck graft on that one a bit clearer. There's a stamp at the back. It's quite interesting arching going on that particular one. Once again, I think that will probably do quite well. I'm not 100% sure what's occurring with it. Another full-size violin bearing the label Andreas Guarnerius. It's in a Hill case. Estimates 300 to 500. It's already on 180 absentee. Look at the scroll there in the back. This to me so far, it's got a potentially a graph there as well. Doesn't look quite so exciting, but it's hard to tell really with these pictures. Unfortunately, you would hope that they would have learnt a little bit better about the pictures, but anyway. Another violin here, full-size violin labelled Vincentius Postiglione, Napoli, 1886. Minor cracks. Estimate is 1,000 to 2,000. Starting with 600. There's already a kind of bid on that. I mean, they've tried to obviously take some pictures, but they're very dark and it's quite difficult to see what's going on. Unfortunately, I think this is one of these auctions where you have to view it in person. But, once again, an interesting violin of some kind, worth looking at. And a full-size violin bearing the label Johannes Battista Guadagnini, two-piece back with a Hill and Son case. For complete restoration, the table detached scroll broken off but present. Estimate is 80 to 120. Starting bid is 50. It's got an absentee bid. Yeah, definitely needs a bit of work, that one. Looks a bit over varnished. I think this is the least believable lot so far. Interesting case though. Once again, the pictures are just not high definition enough to really know what's going on, unfortunately. An interesting full-size violin branded R. Dow below the button in a Hill and Son case again. Estimates 2 to 400. Interesting violin, nice pegs. So nice kind of English boxwood pegs. Scroll looks a bit curious on this. Interesting figure of the wood there, and there's the stamp there. Interesting scroll. Looks that it could well be some kind of English violin there. Yeah, 2 to 400. I think that's actually a fair estimate. It'll probably do quite well, I would think. Right, full-size violin branded C. Harmand, Paris, two-piece back, case labelled for Edward Withers. Let's have a look at this one a bit closer. Interesting. Some of these pictures are a bit bizarre. Hard to say exactly what's going on there. 80 to 120 seems a fair estimate, but it will definitely, almost definitely go beyond that. Full-size violin with a Generis Galliano label there. Hill and Sons case as well. All of these Hill and Sons cases. Okay, so the estimate's 3 to 500. We've already got 920 on this, so that's pretty substantial. Let's see if we can see a bit better what's going on. Kind of interesting looking scroll there. That's quite nice scroll. Yeah, back looks kind of interesting. Looks like the corners are quite curious. Yeah, nice scroll. Once again, difficult to see exactly what's going on, but I can see potentially why people would be interested in that. A full-size violin with the label À la vie de Turin Mugello, and another Lutherie Artistique Jean-Baptiste Collin. Both violins in need of complete restoration. We've got 80 to 120 as the estimate. There's no bids so far. I think decent enough project there for someone. 80 to 120, I'm sure it will go for more than that. An interesting full-size violin with a one-piece back, 40.5 unlabeled. So I think if it's 40.5 back, then it's probably a viola. So interesting looking scroll there. Shame that this these pictures are so low definition. But that's fairly interesting, I think. Already 4 to 600 the estimate, absentee 240. I think that will also sell pretty well. There's a body of a Gto violin. It's just kind of cornerless violin, branded Gto at the end. Also another Gto type violin maker from Birmingham, apparently. Estimates 80 to 120. No bids so far. Fairly interesting one. Wow, that is an interesting presentation kind of case. That's quite curious, maybe more interesting than the actual instrument. Yeah, I'm sure that will sell. Full-size violin for restoration. Table completely detached, 80 to 120, the estimate. Current absentee 50. Interesting scroll there. It's a fairly interesting looking violin on the face of it. Once again, I'm sure that will probably sell for a fair amount. Full-size violin for restoration again. Unusual pierced holes to the back of scroll. Let's have a look. Okay, that was a bit strange. Sometimes you do see this kind of hole in the back of some violins to kind of give a bit more kind of access to the pegs, to the strings and things. Sometimes it can be for other reasons. So, yep, curious. Interesting enough violin anyway. 40 to 60 is the current, what is the estimate? Current bid is 20. So, yeah, another kind of curious looking violin there. And we've got two full-size violins for restoration, 136 length of back, 135.4 in a double case. Estimate is 100 to 200. Starting bid is 60. Current bid is 60. Let's have a look. Slightly curious looking scrolls there and inlay. Once again, curious, and I'm sure that this will do quite well, that lot. Two full-size violins for restoration, 35.3 and 35 length of back in a double case, 100 to 200 the estimate. This one's had a bit of a chunk of the F-hole go out. Interesting back on that one. They didn't clean any of the dust off, which is curious. Nice double case. Yeah, I'm sure that will go for a few hundred for sure. Full-size violin, one piece back. Let's have a look. Estimates 40 to 60, starting bid 20. Current absentee is 20. Yeah, I think that will do okay. Probably some kind of German violin there. I'm sure that will go for a few hundred, if not more, by the end of the auction. Full-size English violin with label for John Betts. A few cracks and things. Estimate 3 to 500. Starting bid 180. Let's have a look. Fake kind of graft. I think this is not too exciting a lot, to be honest. And we've got a full-size Irish violin by Thomas Perry and William Wilkinson, Dublin, with two-piece back, rounded Perry, Dublin below the button, and a label that you can't read. A load of cracks and stuff. Estimates 800 to 1200. Starting bid is 480. There's no bid so far. That does look, at least in body shape, fairly like what I'd expect a Perry and Wilkinson to look like, so that seems about right. Estimate, yeah, it's about kind of correct, I suppose, maybe a little bit on the high side. I think someone will probably purchase this. I think it will probably get near the lower end, I would have thought. And a companion full-size violin. Interesting label, repaired by N.N. Mondal, son of late K.N. Mondal, Calcutta. Interesting. Repaired to the neck and other bits. So this is a kind of low grade French violin. There you go. Good full-size French violin with a two-piece back. 35.7, branded H. Derazy. Estimate is 2 to 3,000. Starting bids of 1,200. Well, it's got what people are looking for there. It looks in good condition and a kind of fancy back. Not my kind of thing, but I'm sure that someone will definitely buy that. Another full-size French JTL violin there. 100 to 200 though on this one, not quite as fancy. I think that estimate is about right. It'll probably go for 200 or so. Lutherie Moderne, French violin there. Let's have a look what we have. Once again, I'm sure that this will sell. Nothing too super exciting. 4 to 600, already a bid of 240, so I'm sure that will do well. Full-size German violin with the label Joseph Klotz. 40 to 60 is the estimate. This is a very kind of standard trade violin there, but I'm sure it'll still probably make 100 or something like that. Full-size Magini violin there. No major damage, apparently. Once again, another kind of tradey violin there. Large full-size Magini violin again. 100 to 150. Slightly different kind of F-hole cuts there. But I think pretty sure another trade violin there. Right, a full-size German violin, Guarnerius copy, 36.4 length the back, a few cracks and things, 60 to 100 is the estimate. Once again, I think this is a tradey violin. The case is actually quite interesting. Nice double hill case. Say that this case is actually worth a lot more than that violin, I would say. They should have just split that out as a separate lot. This old hill double case, I think it's probably worth a bit of money. Full-size German violin there, 35.7. Let's have a look at the pictures. Some of these pictures are actually okay, to be honest. Maybe a bit harsh. Nothing too exciting on that lot that I can see. Full-size German violin, one piece back, 36.2, 40 to 60 estimate. And this is just another kind of tradey violin. And a full-size German violin, two-piece back, labelled Gustav Hasler, 1895, 2 to 300. Once again, I don't think there's too much in that one. Full-size German violin, Strad copy there. Interesting kind of art on the back, but doesn't really change the fact that this is a fairly generic violin there. Full-size French violin, Stradivari copy, 50 to 70 is the estimate. It's not too bad. Couple of bows there in a bit of a state, but could be interesting. Case decent enough. 50 to 70 with a 30 estimate. Modern full-size German violin there. Label Hans Wagner. This is, I think, yeah, a very low-end trade violin there, so you can ignore that. Full-size German violin, a Marti copy. I think this is one with the Paganini brand on the back. Yeah, this is just another trade violin. Nothing really too exciting there. 50 to 80, it seems reasonable. Full-size German violin with two-piece back, 80 to 120. Once again, nothing too much there. Full-size Austrian violin, one piece back, made in Austria, 40 to 60 they've got on that. Interesting F-holes. I think this is fairly standard looking kind of thing. A full-size Danish violin with two-piece back, inscribed to the interior, Nielsen Kjøbenhavn. Interesting, 1906. 80 to 120. Well, it's definitely a slightly unusual body shape there. So 50 bid. Okay. Now we get into the weird things. So probably Italian school, a violin unlabelled, formerly the property of professional violinist Adam Smeaton. We've seen this violin before, and there was another one as well, and these started off in an auction with other instruments, I think, from that gentleman who played with the Halle, that were actually fairly decent. But there were two instruments that I think were pretty clearly German violins, kind of with this like probably Italian school labelling, which I just think is really irresponsible labelling. And these were up for like 2 or 3 to 5,000 is the estimate, and now they're at least up to a sensible estimate of 200 to 300. But really they should just say it's like a German violin, because I think that's pretty much clear what it is. But anyway, someone's bidding on it so far, so I think pretty clearly just a fairly generic German violin. I really don't think there's anything more to that, and they should really be a bit more sensible about their wording, to be quite frank. Anyway, full-size violin there in a Hill & Sons case, 80 to 120, starting bids 50, already 440 the bids. I think this is quite an interesting violin actually, and I'm sure that a really interesting scroll there. I think a lot of other people have kind of twigged that this is quite interesting as well. This I think is going to go for some kind of stupid amount of money. I'm sure it's going to go into the thousands for sure. Be an interesting auction to watch actually. 3/4 size violin, unlabelled, 30 to 50. Fairly standard there. 3/4 size French violin, labelled Mancy Paris. This is not particularly great, so we can move on from that. Half size Maidstone violin, and another 3/4 violin. Sometimes these random lots can be interesting, but I think in this case this is fairly uninteresting. Whole load of different pegs and things, 80 to 120. This will probably bid well because you can already see these boxwood, old English boxwood pegs in here. People pay like good money for those pegs, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone that gets fairly high, that bidding. Collection of pegs again, and some kind of chin rests and stuff. Once again, I'm sure that will probably go pretty well. Don't know if there's any this not so interesting in the peg kind of thing, but still people do like these for repairs and things. Quantity of bow frogs and stuff. Some silver mounted examples. This I'm sure will sell as well. I mean, some of these frogs could potentially be valuable, it's possible. A whole load of violin parts there, 100 to 200 the estimate. It's already on 110. Sometimes these bargain boxes of random instruments can actually be quite valuable. A few of these violins look potentially kind of interesting, like a bit of a cello or something. A whole load of scrolls, so I think that'll, all those bridges, it will end up going for quite big money. Here was quite a random lot here, like it's looks like whole load of stuff that's been left in some kind of storage thing. Once again, some interesting scrolls and things. I'm sure that will sell quite well. Whole load of old timber there, 40 maple boards. I'm sure that will end up selling, even though there's no kind of no bids so far, but I'm sure that will also sell. Here's some bows in need of restoration. Random assortment of bows. I'm sure once again that will also sell, and a load of frogs. I'm sure this stuff always ends up selling. Some tools. Let's see if we can see anything particularly interesting. A few clamps and bits and bobs that will probably also sell. I think all of this stuff always does. Right, a silver mounted violin bow by James Tubbs, stamped Jazz Tubbs. Frog possibly not original, split the wood. 800 to 1200 they're looking at there. definitely needs some work there. No bids on it so far, starting at 480. So silver mounted violin bow, stamped Dodd, 100 to 150. And there's absentee bid of 60 on that, so someone's interested. 2 Baroque style violin bows, one stamped Gotts, the other HR Frechner, 40 to 60. These almost look like kind of 60s style viol kind of bows, rather than kind of like a Baroque violin bows. I would say they're probably quite heavy, probably not the kind of bow that you'd want if you're playing a Baroque violin, but maybe if you're playing a viol. Yeah, I don't think those are the greatest bows. Looking at them, I've seen a few like that before. 5 assorted nickel mounted bows there. I think this is all fairly junky there. Hill & Sons case there. These are popular. This one's quite nice. That's what I mean about that double case we saw earlier with the violin, is arguably probably more valuable than the violin. This is a bit more of a generic Hill case there, 60 to 100. Another one here, 30 to 50, but these are popular. 40 to 60, a whole load. Someone had a massive Hill case collection. Another one here, 50 to 80. Another one here, 50 to 80. A couple of cases here, fairly nice ones. Actually, that's quite a nice one there. Presented to Walter J. Sykes Esquire, MD, by the members of Friends of the Portsmouth Orchestral Society, 1886. Interesting. 2 late 19th century leather covered violin cases. These might sell well, I would think. Nothing at the moment. 6 Victorian and later violin cases. No bids on these. These are quite nice-ish ones. Always a market, I think, for those. A few more. Wow, it really is quite a lot of cases here. Another Caressa and Francais case there. Some other instruments now. An unusual German violin Zither, engraved Generic Munchen, 50 to 80. It's got 2 bids. Not really sure on that one. An unusual cornerless bowed instrument with long neck, and it has a bow. Well, maybe someone will bid £10 or £20 on that. This is an interesting one. An interesting, unusual, probably German oversized viola, violone, or perhaps diminutive cello. Interesting, 43.5 length of back. That is pretty large, but this is quite a cool looking viola. I suspect that this will probably sell for quite a lot there. 2 to 400. The estimate current bid is 120. And a cello, 2 to 300 there. Looks fairly standard. A couple of bows, nothing too crazy there. Interesting, unusual, probably German oversized viola. That's saying this again, 46.8. 4 to 600 the estimate. That is extremely large, if it really is that big. Interesting. A Romanian viola, 39 length of back. That's a bit more what we're expected to see. Roger Paysold, German full-size viola, 40.8. That's also fairly respectable. Hill & Sons silver mounted cello bow, and another bow stamped FR of Wunderlich, 3 to 500. We've got absentee bid of 180. Not really 100% sure on this here. Giuseppe Valapiglia mandolin there, 40 to 60. Looks kind of decent enough, 40 to 60 the estimate, seems fair. Giovanni de Miglio Figlio, late 19th century Neapolitan bowback mandolin there. Looks in fairly nice condition actually. That's quite a nice mandolin there, 80 to 120. Romano and Castellone, Napoli, at the bowback mandolin. This one is fairly standard, 40 to 60. Early 20th century Italian 2 Globo bowback mandolin. This is, or Il Globo in fact, 40 to 60. It's pretty standard. An Italian bowback mandolin, once again fairly standard looking kind of thing. Eastman mandolin from 2008. This is a standard modern mandolin. Okay, Jose Alvarez Barcelona dulcet soprano ukulele with another ukulele. I think that this will probably sell quite well. There's a lot of kind of ukulele collectors out there, and these kind of like double top ukuleles or whatever they call them. An early 20th century Le Pacific type banjo ukulele with a novelty stringed instrument. Okay, interesting. 30 to 50. It's got a bid on it already. Early 20th century tenor banjo, 50 to 80. Late 19th century Daniel's patent 6-string banjo there, with two like banjo ukuleles. 100 to 150 there is the estimate. Unnamed banjo for restoration there, 20 to 30. Headmaster chrome mounted banjo inlaid with mother of pearl, 40 to 60 there. Gibson, a model L6S 6-string electric guitar stamped to the back of the head, made in the USA, 3 to 500 the estimate. These are pretty cool guitars. This one looks like it's been well used, decent enough. Seems like a fair estimate. Unnamed 6-string electric guitar together with 6-string classic acoustic guitar and another 12-string acoustic. Okay, I think there's nothing too exciting to see there. Line 6 Variax acoustic, made in Korea, 80 to 120. Line 6 Variax 300 electric guitar there, 80 to 120. This is an interesting lot, a Spanish acoustic guitar with interior label for Joseph Pages and Lute as found. So this, I'm pretty sure, is actually a Pages guitar, which is probably worth a couple of thousand even in a terrible condition, and probably worth 5 or 6 kind of restored, maybe more, and that's just a horrible Lute guitar. Estimates 30 to 50. If that doesn't go quite high, I would be very surprised, because that is arguably probably worth a couple of £1,000 alone. Fantini 37 key piano accordion in its original case, 2 to 300 there. Donzelli Italian piano accordion in case, 40 to 60. Brandoni Musitina piano accordion, 6 to 800 there. Vignoni Philharmonic 120 bass accordion, 4 to 600. These all look in good condition. An Orla XM45 accordion module, okay, 30 to 50, interesting. Button accordion, probably Swiss, with floral detail and leather straps. Let's have a look at that a bit more, 40 to 60. That's a really sweet looking accordion there. Hohner 64 chromonica harmonica, 20 to 40 there, the estimate. An ebonized piccolo together with 2 wooden flutes, 20 to 40 there. F. Rousson chrome-plated flute together with 2 A. Adler recorders there, 20 to 40. 19th century Viennese ebony flute with white metal keys and mounts, interesting. Stamped Ziegler Vienne, 100 to 150, interesting looking thing. 19th century Rosewood flute with engraved white metal mounts, stamped Monzani & Co., 50 to 80. Beckett's a rosewood flute, cased, 20 to 40. Bamboo flute, 71 centimeters, 20 to 40. Grassi, a professional 2000 flute in fitted case with a Hohner harmonica and a musical saw, interesting lot there, 40 to 60. Rosewood chanter together with 2 rosewood flutes, 1 indistinctly stamped, 20 to 40 there. Adler recorder together with another recorder and 3 further woodwind instruments, 20 to 40. Adler, a contrabass recorder in original cardboard box, 20 to 40 there. Moek, a case contrabass recorder, 20 to 40, already over the estimate now. Kung, a contrabass recorder case, 30 to 50, well, already on 140 there, so there's a lot of love for the contrabass recorders, interesting. Shots, a bass recorder together with 2 further recorders, 20 to 40 there. Dolmetsch, a case of set of 3 recorders there, 40 to 60. Moek, a group of 3 boxed recorders, 20 to 40. A collection of boxed and loose recorders with further woodwind instruments, 30 to 50. A collection of various woodwind instruments to include an ocarina, panpipes and a cow horn instrument, that's a pretty cool lot, 30 to 50. 12 assorted woodwind instruments to include a crumb horn, a cornetto and 2 carved double flutes, 30 to 50, it's already on 55, probably just purely for the crumb horn, I would have thought. A soprano kirtle case, 20 to 30, it's kind of interesting. Okay. A stained beech cornemuse, length 65 centimeters, 20 to 40 is the estimate. A stained beech cornemuse, 108 centimeters, 30 to 50. A brass Philoclide by Henry Smith, Wolverhampton. I'm not very good at pronouncing that. 50 to 100. La Marie, a French clarinet in a modern case, 50 to 70. Buffet Crampon clarinet, B-flat clarinet there, 30 to 50. Bougian Hawks cased oboe, 20 to 40. Jupiter cased silver cornet, 30 to 50. Cased Samara silver plated cornet and another cased cornet, 20 to 40. Earlham and alto saxophone, 100 to 150. Golf, a cased alto saxophone, 100 to 150. Selmer 1934 cigar cutter radio improved alto saxophone, 1000 to 1500 there, already bids of 600. Some of these old Selmer saxophones very, very popular. Prelude by Con Selmer tenor saxophone, 100 to 150. A Marty Kraslis model ATS22 tenor saxophone, 150 to 200. Bauhaus two-tone saxophone, 100 to 150. A modern military style drum with drumsticks, 40 to 60. And John Morley, London. It says a harpsichord, but I think this is actually a clavichord with its kind of legs there, 100 to 150. That's a pretty good deal if you're interested in that kind of thing. And Rudd, Ibach and Son Rosewood Boudoir grand piano there, Interesting, with a stool, 2 to 300 there. It's a seriously big item there for their sale. And I think, oh, there's a Columbia, an early 20th century oak case wind-up gramophone, 30 to 50. That's kind of slightly away from our kind of thing. HMV oak case gramophone, 40 to 60. And now I think we're kind of potentially into things which are a bit away now. So I think we've seen everything from the musical instrument kind of parts. Let's just double check that, as it can sometimes go a bit weird on this. Let's just quickly double check. Go to the last page. I would suspect that the piano or so was probably one of the last items. Okay, it was actually the hi-fi, so fair enough, we covered everything. So there you go, this is the musical instrument part of the Adam Partridge auction, which is ending on the 12th of October. Actually, some really interesting stuff. Some of the pictures a bit difficult to kind of decipher what's going on, a bit dark, but be worth looking at some of these instruments. Some of the violins type things look quite interesting. Even some of the woodwind instruments, they look quite curious as well. So all in all, an interesting auction. So I'll put a link in the description as always. Check it out yourself and see what you think. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.